got another conversation going on here.
Clifton, if you could please keep your mic muted on Zoom.
Clifton, we're having a press conference. We're trying to have a press conference. Don't interrupt.
With White's compliance and stuff like that, just since he had the extra year, was it as simple as calling him, adding him back to the roster?
Yeah, he'd been in school, so the biggest thing was eligibility. And so he was in school all spring, and he's a full-time grad student now. He just living on the beach in Charleston doing it, 2023. And getting ready to start his career in 2 weeks. So just kind of, we're just kind of fortunate that way that we had another guy available. We'll see how it goes. Again, it's probably going to be great or terrible. I don't know that it'll be much in between, and I'm pulling for great.
How many people do you call? And that, like, you get this idea, and then obviously there's like academic side of it that like has to get back in. Like, what was your Sunday?
I just found out that, he was in school. The comment was, hey, Jonathan White's is still in school. And I'm like, huh? What? And so I called him. That was it. Talked to one person, because I didn't need to talk to anybody else unless I needed to confirm that he was in school. And then would he even be interested in doing it? And just kind of what all was there. And then once we kind of got to that point, and he decided, yeah, I think I want to do it. Heck, he jumped in the car and drove up here. And I think he called his parents on the way, and they're like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm going to Clemson. And so, that's really it. And then once he said he wanted to do it, then it's compliance, it's AD, it's it's all the academics. I mean, there's roster stuff as far as that you have to go through to certify a guy, and then we got the acclimatization. We needed to. Now it's like, okay, I got to get the clock going. Okay, we got to have 3 days in shorts or whatever, and to make sure we meet that timeline. So. All part of it.
In Clemson remote. He was
a full-time grad student, but living in Charleston, and he had like I said, spent all spring in France, and got back I guess this summer, and I think he's just been living his best life, golfing, having fun, getting ready to start his career, and again I think he's in like the financial world, and he's got a great job up in New York City. And literally rented an apartment. He's moving in 2 weeks. So this is kind of a crazy situation. So once he kind of decided that he wanted to do it, got confirmation that we could do it, then it's, he had to call his boss. He said his boss was understanding and excited for him, so I appreciate that.
What was your conversation with Robert about this?
I just told him, hey, man, I haven't lost any confidence in you, but, again, just need to kind of catch our breath a little bit. Let's just focus on kicking off right now, and we've got to give somebody else an opportunity, and we'll see what happens. So just keep going, keep working.
We hear it time and time again how much your players buy in and love you and what you've built here, but what's it mean you said he's living his best life. What's it mean to have somebody willing to come back, to buy in, to show up still for this team like that?
Well, I think, again, he was a part of the program for 4 years, and he understands who we are. He's a great kid. And we actually have the same birthday. I always text him happy birthday. But great family, Portugal kid down there, and came in here as a really highly preferred walk-on guy. And again, just got better and better. And the last couple of years, he's our backup and a ready guy. But again, we had BT Potter, and he just was the number 2 guy. And he just wanted to go. He was graduating in grad school and just wanted to go and kind of get on with his life. And I think was at total peace with that. And I think part of it was he knew Robert was here, and so it's crazy how things work out. And he's excited because he understands the opportunity. And this is something he worked for a long time that it never really happened. But you know what? Hey, things happen on God's timing. It's not always, life is not a perfect path. It rarely ever in life or in football goes exactly the way we want it, right? And, but, you just keep moving forward and do things right. And, opportunities come in different forms and fashion. So, again, we'll see what happens. I hope it doesn't come down to a kick. I don't know if my heart can take that, but we'll see.
He's living on the beach and living his best life. Do you think that sort of unburdened mentality could help when he's?
I hope so. He's just a mature guy. He's a grown man. He's not a young player. He's been out there. He's made kicks for Clemson before. He's played. He's kicked off. He's kicked some. So it's not like he's never done it. But I think just the where he is in life, maturity wise, experience wise, definitely serves him well. As you get older and you experience things, your perspective changes. And what was the biggest thing in the world? Oftentimes we look back and we go, that was kind of silly. You can kind of see your maturation process. And I just think he's in a good place like that. Like look, man, I just make a great effort. You know what? I mean, if it doesn't go in, I'm still going to love him. I mean, I'm not one of these people that, there's a lot of people out there, they love me when I win, right? That just comes with the job and the territory, right? And then there's a lot of people that really like you, but you lose, well, they hate you, But at the end of the day, I'm not a different person based on what happens with the scoreboard, and I know that. I'm not defined by that. I'm defined by who God says I am. That's how I'm defined. So I don't get caught up in those things, and we work extremely hard, and we do our best in everything that we do, and make a lot of decisions. And some people like those decisions, some people don't. You're never going to please everybody, but at the end of the day, you've got to have some substance of who you are and what grounds you in this crazy world we live in. Otherwise, you just get swept out to sea. But I'm anchored, and I think he's a guy that I think is at peace with himself and where he is in life, and he's worked really hard. I mean, he's a very, very smart kid. He's highly accomplished as a young person in this world. I mean, what he's done as an athlete, he's been a part of a national championship team. He's done some great things, had some great experiences. He's getting a master's degree. He's got opportunities in the world. And, so I just think he's got good perspective, and, he's going to give it all he's got. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask. And Robert has given it all he has. Robert's, I think he's just at that point where he thinks trying harder is better, and it's really not. He's just got to kind of work through this phase that he's in, and he'll get there. He'll get there.
You had actually mentioned earlier this year, B.T. Potter, I'll take it back a couple of years ago. You were going to sit him down going into a Louisville game. Then 51-yard field goal is staring you in the face, and you trotted him out there, and he splits the pipes, and that was that.
Yeah,
Was White's the guy?
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize this, but Potter, what did he do? He just kicked off his first couple years around here, right? His first year, he couldn't make a kick. Same thing, highly acclaimed guy coming in here, and was it Hugel? He couldn't beat Hugel out. He couldn't beat him out. Hugel was money. I mean, and Hugel we got out of a tryout, right? And but a lot of expectations on BT, a lot of expectations. And this is a great kicker. I mean, again, one of the best in the history. And but his first couple of years, he was kickoff guy, but he eventually became the guy. And he just kind of, and again, just a maturation process that you have to go through. It's a hard position. There's a lot of people that make a lot of mistakes, but not everybody sees them. Left guard will miss a block every now and then, but nobody sees it. Guy busts a coverage backside, but they didn't throw the ball that way. Nobody even knows. Quarterback missed his read, but he threw a nice completion over here. Everybody's cheering him. Freaking kicker doesn't put it through the pipes. Everybody knows, right? And so it's a really, really, it's not much subjectivity to the kicker position, and it's a hard job. It's a very underappreciated job, as is the snap, as is the hold. These are not easy jobs. These are very, very difficult jobs to do.
One other what if. So you have a 52-yarder
It's the most kicking questions in the history. Clifton, you taking notes? This is a great kicking press conference here.
I'll ask mine later. How's that?
52-yarder?
Yeah, and Robert trots out there and he splits the pipes. Now you
Hey.
now you got a 38-yarder. Now this, it's got to make you second guess, doesn't it?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah. See what happens.
You don't want me kicking.
Yeah, man. Me neither.
One more kicking question.
Yeah.
Snapping and the holding, that operation been?
It's been great. It's been great. It's been really good.
Yeah, well, what do you think of how have you?
We actually made a change there with Casperson. I don't know if anybody's even noticed that. Flo was the snapper last year, but for whatever reason, Flo's balls, we're having to turn it, about 90% of the time. Flo's now the punt. Casperson, we flipped him. Casperson, he's money. He was almost 100% in camp of catching plays. That's something you don't think about, whereas last year, not as bad, but all camp, it's having to turn, getting the laces out of the way. Like almost 90% of the time. And it's just, Flo, for whatever reason, kind of got himself in a funky groove, because if you really watch great snappers, when they catch it, the ball goes down, there's no laces. And so that's a technique. And so that's why we had to make a change there, because Casperson he's money. It's catch and place 90+% of the time. And that makes a difference when you're not having to spin the ball. So and then Flo has been, and Casperson's great on both of them, but Flo has been kind of equally as good, but he gives us a little bit more in coverage. In fact, I guess he made a tackle last week from a punt standpoint. So we've got two good snappers, but there's a lot to it.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask about you guys' mindset in practice this week. Has it been what you like? Do they understand that, hey, this is a big moment, but it's just the moment this week that we've got to take care of?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, we've got a veteran team. We've got a lot of maturity on this team, a lot of experience, guys that have played in a bunch of games. But, again, they're all huge. There's always a little more juice for some games and rivalries and things like that. That's just natural. But, you have to prepare every week. Otherwise you create inconsistency. It takes a certain mindset every single week. And so, they were great last night. They're excited. They're coming off a win and fully understand they've got another big battle this week. We got, Lord willing, we got 9 more battles, and every single one of them are going to be huge battles. And you have to be in the moment, right? Of where you are. I read a quote yesterday. It said something like, in order to seize the lifetime of an opportunity, you have to seize the lifetime of the opportunity. And so, what does that mean? That means you got to have a good Monday practice. The lifetime of this opportunity will be over Saturday night, and then there's going to be another opportunity, win or lose. That's just the way it is. And then you count them all up at the end of the year, and you see how you did and what you got to do to get better. But you have to, regardless of who you're playing, you have to have the right mindset when it comes to preparation and how you attack that. So that creates the consistency that you need and the mindset that it takes.
Bryson Kelly, you mentioned on your radio show yesterday that he's dealing with a lingering injury.
Yep.
Part of what's holding him back. Would he be available this week if you needed him?
We're going to see. We're going to see how he is. He did practice last night. We'll see how he is today and tomorrow, and kind of go from there. He's a super talented kid, dynamic, very similar to Tyler in a lot of ways, and super excited about him and what he brings. But he is battling a little bit of an injury that he's trying to work through. So we'll see how it goes with him.
Any questions for Coach from Zoom?
Come on, Clifton. I know you got one.
Anybody else in the room?
I was just going to ask, the Hall of Fame weekend coming up, you
Yep.
mentioned McDaniel, but 3 Clemson football players will be inducted this weekend. You were able to coach a couple of them. What does it take to be in the Clemson Football or Athletic Hall of Fame? compared to maybe other Hall of Fames? And what did they have that got them there?
Well, I mean, Priester was the other one, right? Obviously didn't get to coach him, but man, what a great. I mean, you don't just get lucky and get in the Hall of Fame. Man, what a great player and great career. I've had a chance to meet him a few times, and so really excited for him and all that he represents, and just the recognition for his career here. But obviously being able to coach KP and D-Mac, it's really cool. But you're at a place. I mean, any Hall of Fame is an amazing honor of any sort, because you're being recognized as the best of the best of what you did when you were a part of whatever that organization was. It's just you just can't take that lightly. I think that's a big deal. But certainly at a place like Clemson, that's been going since the 1890s. That's a long time, and there's thousands of football players that have come through here, and to be recognized as a Hall of Famer and one of the best, based on your contributions on the field, that's a huge honor. It really is. And man, they got two great ones this weekend that I had the opportunity to coach. Recruited both of them personally. In fact, I think they both showed up here maybe the same year. And KP was my first ever mid-year recruit. I'd never experienced that before, because he decided he didn't want to play baseball in high school. He wanted to try to come in, and that'll be in a book one day. I'll write about that story on how all that transpired, and he ends up coming in. I think led the team in home runs that year as a high school senior, and then just what he did for us football-wise, and leading us to our first division championship that in 2009, 2 and 3 to the championship game, and in a game where neither team punted against Georgia Tech there that year in Tampa, and that was amazing. That was an amazing thing to get our team there. It was disappointing, because we wanted to go to the Orange Bowl, and ironically that game was in Tampa. It's the only time it was ever in Tampa. And from my perspective, that was a good lesson for me, because I was so disappointed in that moment. And they sent us to the Music City Bowl, and we go from the Orange Bowl to the daggum frozen tundra, coldest game in Clemson history. But you know what? 7 years later, we were at that same stadium winning a national championship, and I think was part of God's plan for us. And as we built this program, and kind of built our way to the top of the mountain. And so KP was a huge part of that, a multi-sport. How hard it is to play two sports in college, and not just play two sports, but to be really good. And I still think, KP obviously went baseball and went to the major leagues and had a good career and all that stuff. And he got time in the bigs, and you get time in the bigs, whether it's one bat, 1 year, 20 years. It's just unbelievable to be able to do that. But I really think this guy could have played in the NFL. He had a beautiful mind for the game. He had as good an arm as anybody we've had come through here. He could absolutely rip it, and great anticipation. Again, great understanding. Was just athletic enough to move around a little bit, but really only had him for 2 seasons. But he was a very talented player, great competitor. So happy for him. And then D-Mac. This guy, when I first met this kid at Godby High School, and where he was in life, and what he had had to overcome in life, it's amazing to watch him now. It's just what it's all about. And to see him being honored this way, this guy loves Clemson. He's a really good coach too. He's a very, very smart guy. He really understands the game. He's very respected. He's our senior defensive assistant now. He brings a lot to the room that people don't even know. And he's got a great future in this profession. But it's just been awesome to see him grow and mature. He's got his master's degree. He's a great father. He's a great husband, and he's just an amazing story. from where he was to having to go to prep school, to trying to leave the prep school. I remember calling his grandmother, Miss Dot, and his godmom, Miss Kim, and I said, hang up on him. If y'all go pick him up, I'm never talking to you again, and this kid's going to be, he ain't going to make it. And, you know, they left him. They left him. They wouldn't go get him. And, you know, he hung in there, and it was the best. It was exactly what he needed. And to see him now, the maturation process of where he is, he just got a great story. And, you know, he's got an unbelievable perspective because of the journey in life that he's been on. And this is a big deal. It's a big deal for him to be recognized as a Hall of Famer. So really happy for him. And again, it's means a lot. There's been a lot of great players come through here, for sure. And he's another one of those guys that's just always been, he's a Clemson guy, man. I mean, he's unbelievably committed. I'll never, ever forget, and Tim Beret can back me up on this, 2010, we lose that miserable game up there in Charlotte in the bowl game. We got 6 wins, and you know, D-Mac's a senior. He's got a broken wrist. He don't have a dog in the fight no more. And man, he called that whole team up in the locker room, and I mean, got after them and challenged them. You know, it's my second year, and he basically, paraphrasing here, and Tim, you can say, basically he said, hey, look, we're building something special here, and you guys need to stay the course. You need to listen to Coach Swinney. You know, you guys are gonna do this, 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 and this, and it was a huge thing in that moment, you know, from a culture standpoint. And then the next year we won the league, right? And just, you know, built our program to the top of the mountain, and we'll build it back to the top again. But it takes leadership like that. It takes you know, great moments along the way like that as well. And so I'm very thankful for those guys, and happy for Priester as well.
Looks like David was trying to get in virtually. David, go ahead.
Thanks, Ross. Dabo, you talked a little bit about Jordan Travis at the top of this, and how much he makes the guys around him better and sort of makes that offense run. I'm curious where you see Cade and his development of kind of getting to that point at Clemson, and particularly over the last 6 quarters, have you been pleased by the improvements that he's made since the start of the season?
Yeah, I think similar. If you go back and look at Travis, you know, a couple years ago to where he is now, I mean, he's just gotten better and better and better. And you know, I think that just comes with experience and going through the battles. He's incredibly confident. He's got a great understanding, and you know, he knows where to go with the ball. And then again, he can really create. And there's a lot of similarities with Cade. You know, Cade can really run, and I think he's growing into that. He's started a few games, and every time he has an outing, he grows. So he's a young player. This is obviously another great opportunity for him to continue to develop. He's got beautiful arm talent, but you know, he's gotten better every week, and that's what you want. I mean, he's improved every single week, and again, he's one of those guys that learns, you know, as he goes, and I think you'll continue to see that. I think he's got a great future ahead of him, a great career, and you know, Garrett's been very pleased with him as well. I mean, he did some good things last week with his legs. I mean, it's just still the more he plays, the more comfortable he'll get, you know, with you know, all aspects of the position.
Anybody else for Coach?
You mentioned with portal, it's a fit on both sides. Florida State's had a lot of portal hits. I know there's some portal misses. Why do you think they've been able to evaluate those guys well and bring them in from other schools and have them kind of fit in so seamlessly? Well,
I mean, it's no different than any recruiting process. I mean, you got to, you know, they've done a good job of evaluating and then recruiting. You know, I mean, just because you evaluate them and like them don't mean they're going to like you. You know, it's not like you want a nice pair of shoes and you go get them. I mean, the shoes have to want to go on your feet. So it's a two-way street. So I think they've done a nice job recruiting and certainly identifying and, you know, filling some needs that they had.
Anyone else? Well, we only have a few dozen tickets remaining, so looking forward to a great atmosphere at Death Valley this Saturday. Coach, thanks for your time.
We got tickets left?
Only a few dozen.
A few dozen. All right, well, Jonathan White's family is going to buy them all. Yeah.
Coach.